when Alabama comes in, given the history between the two, and Nick having been here and done great things here and greater things there, that adds to the vitriol, which kind of makes it fun. And, it's been as meaningful a rivalry as there's been in college football in terms of the stakes over the last decade. So it's great, and the fans are excited. Now we just want to see if they can create the same type of environment in the morning that they can at night. We'd like for them to get up and get started early. About 8 a.m. would be great, right on the quad. It's beautiful. You should come out.
Right. What do you think of the narrative leading up to this game? A lot of people didn't give LSU. I mean, no one's really given LSU a chance. But then I think a lot of people here are feeling like, hey, we can play with these guys. Alabama hasn't faced a tough schedule. What about you? What do you think of the narrative surrounding this one?
I don't know who's not giving LSU a chance. I mean, LSU has the best defense Alabama has faced. They haven't seen defensive backs like this season. By the same token, LSU hasn't seen anything like 13 that is going to roll out here in the bevy of receivers that he has. So I think that's what makes this matchup intriguing, is that, it depends on which side of the fence that you're watching from. You can say, well, Tua hadn't seen anything like this defense, and that's true. But on the other side, that defense hasn't seen anything like that. So I think there will be plays made on both sides. LSU will probably give up some uncharacteristic plays in the passing game, and Alabama will probably meet resistance that has been uncharacteristic up to this point. So I think that's what makes for a great game. That's why these two teams are ranked in the top 3.
You guys have been to Wazoo and everywhere else this year. I mean, just what does this one kind of lead up to in y'all's preparation?
Do you want me to be honest or politically correct?
Whichever you take.
Okay. Everybody in terms of crowd for game day is playing for second place because Wazoo retired the trophy. So yes, that's a challenge. I mean, they might have had 25,000 people out there, so it was a scene. But that's one of the great things about this job, is that we get to go to places that people realize are great spots for college football, like Baton Rouge, and places that a lot of people might have overlooked in the past, like Pullman, which was tremendous. It was I don't know that I'll ever do anything in television that will exceed, hopefully match. We've had some great environments. James Madison was great. Miami was awesome. Penn State's been great every time we're there. But, that was the circumstances surrounding it with the flag and all of that really made it special. And the crowd embraced it. The town embraced it. The students certainly did. And, we're very blessed because we know that while it might not be that level of euphoria everywhere we go, it's very gratifying to know that the fans embrace the show and they want to come out and be a part of it and show what makes their school and what makes their program special.
What do you think of the matchup between Edo and Nick Saban and the coordinators strategically? What do these coaches do different? What do they, what do you think they can take advantage of, and how are these coaches different?
Every coach has to coach to his own personality, and Nick's done it for a number of years, as you well know, and Ed has really reinvented himself as a head coach, and he's doing a tremendous job here. I think sometimes that both have highly capable coordinators, they both have big staffs, they both have analysts, and I don't know that there's always a moment within sideline strategy in the middle of the game that it comes down to coaching. It might come down to preparation. It might come down to, more likely it's going to come down to execution, particularly when you have athletes at the level that these two have. So, let's not be silly about it. No one's going to out-coach Nick Saban. At least not on a consistent basis. Maybe somebody catches lightning in a bottle or whatever. But that doesn't mean that there's this gargantuan coaching advantage that can't be overcome. That's not what I mean at all. So, I think sometimes that a little more attention placed on not necessarily the X's and O's and the schematics, unless there's something obvious, something that, like at the onside kick in the national championship game when Alabama saw something in Clemson's alignment. Okay, that's coaching. That's a coaching win. But, for the most part, I think it comes down to making sure that your players are confident enough to play fast, execute what they're asked to do at a high level, and do it without doubt or hesitation. And whoever does that better on a particular Saturday will have the coaching edge.
What's the matchup in this game that intrigues you the most? Because a lot of people have talked about both styles and how they like to run the RPO and just Obviously, Tua versus secondary. What intrigues you guys the most?
I think, to me, everybody's probably going to immediately look to, Judy or Ruggs or Smith if he's able to play against Greedy. I want to see how they cover Irv Smith, how LSU covers Irv Smith and the inside receivers. If they can take that away and take the run away, then Alabama, I think, then has to, take his chances against Greedy from time to time on the outside. And then maybe that's an advantage to LSU. But up to this point, I think one of the tough things about teams trying to deal with Tua to this point is that he sees everything and he sees it so quickly. So, no defense. I don't think Dave Aranda would tell you that he's going to go into this game and try to take away everything. He'll probably try to get pressure on him. Where that is the one area where the numbers say that, his completion percentage is not otherworldly. Now he's throwing a bunch of touchdown passes, and stuff against pressure, but he hasn't always, he's not hitting 70. I think it's under 50, I think, when he's pressured. But that'll probably be what you want to see. Can they get pressure on him? And can LSU make enough plays on offense? I don't think this is a vintage Alabama defense. This is not the 2016 Alabama defense, the last one that was here in Baton Rouge. It's good, but I think LSU can move the ball. They have to avoid mistakes, and they have to avoid getting Burrow sacked and getting in long down and distance, because Joe's numbers in those 3rd and 4th and longs, not good. And so, that will not bode well for LSU. So can LSU stay in the proverbial in front of the chains? And can LSU find a way to take away Irv Smith and the guys that line up in the slot at receiver rather than just the outside guys?
Lost in the shuffle, it seems like Alabama's run game, not a lot of people talk about it or give it credit. Is this the type of game, given how good LSU's secondary is, do you think Saban maybe is a little bit reserved early on instead of taking those shots, and maybe they try to rely on the run game early on?
I think they always want to run, but I think that they will be who they are. I mean, they will continue to do the RPOs, and he'll read it, and he'll pull it, and he'll do what he sees. But I do think that they will try to run. LSU has, they're really good in the secondary, and when Devin comes back in the second half, obviously they can tackle anybody. But I don't know that they have been quite what they always have been in terms of just shutting down the run all the time. So you might see a little bit more testing going on in the early. I do have one prediction. Alabama has scored a touchdown on every opening drive this year. I think because of the frenzied atmosphere and everything, I think LSU will stop them from scoring the first time they have the ball. After that, still have to wait and see. But I think that's a fairly safe bet.
What are you expecting from Tiger Stadium?
Well, I've been here a number of times over the years, so I don't expect it to be any different than any other big game. As I said earlier, there's an increased level of vitriol when the fellows in crimson and white roll in, because they don't appear to like them too much. So, but it's always energized, it's spirited. You can a little hint of bourbon wafting through the air, kind of adds to the ambiance a little bit. And see the river and the fog coming off of it. It's a special, unique place, and the venue is cool, and I think it'll be loud. But I don't know that Alabama. I will be surprised if the venue rattles Alabama for, look, it may get them out of sorts on the opening series or something like that, and maybe the opening series when Devin comes in the second half, maybe. But for a long, sustained period of time, I don't think Alabama has much of a history of kind of shaking in their boots due to wherever they're playing.
So what are your thoughts on the Devin White situation?
Meaning what?
Meaning, what do you believe that was a targeting penalty, and do you think maybe he might bring some extra motivation coming in at halftime, or is that?
For sure. Second part, for sure. First part's not going to be popular with you guys. By the letter of the law, and please don't pull the little bitty soundbite out of this. By the letter of the law, you had a defenseless player, you had a launch, and you had forcible contact to the head and neck area. It was targeting. It was. That said, I would like to see the officials exercise a little more latitude for something that is not an egregiously vicious hit, which that most certainly was not. I think he was trying to give him a shove. That probably wasn't the wisest thing, and that probably got him in a little trouble. So I don't know if I would like to have seen the official keep that one in his pocket and kind of, hey, you need to back off there. You know, I'm throwing it next time. I think the replay official was put in a difficult position because it met, in my judgment, and the judgment of some officials I've talked to, but it met the textbook definition. It was unfortunate because it certainly was not egregious. I'm hoping, and the reason they're hesitant on this, they're hesitant because they don't want to walk back anything having to do with player safety, particularly as it pertains to concussions, and I'm completely in favor of that. But I do have enough confidence in officials that I would like to see different fouls. Like if it's not an egregious hit him, it's targeting, it's 15, back him, but you don't toss him. If it's an egregious hit, then I think the one thing that when you step back from this immediate situation, which is really unfortunate, we have reduced the number of those types of hits in the game, and that's a good thing. That protects the defensive guy delivering the blow, and it protects the guy catching it. So, you know, I think it's unfortunate. I wish the guy left a flag in his pocket. He didn't, and I think that he has. I think he has backup by the fact that by the letter of the law and by the rule book definition, he was right.
You think there should be a hierarchy appeal process, though, or do you
No.
agree? No.
No, we've got enough appeals. We got guys up in the booth watching it now. Call it, live with it, because you open up an entire candidate. You've already got somebody watching it on top, and if you appeal it again, look, you know, and even so now the SEC was powerless, as I understand the rules, to really do anything about this. You know, so whatever the rules are, if you got a bad rule, deal with it in rules committee, you know, and fix it next time. If you've got something you deem to be a bad rule. But I think it's also bad policy to take an isolated incident and say, we've got to change the rule because I don't like this outcome. You know, that's not the way to administer a game.
I don't know if
LSU has jumped from 25, beginning of the season, playing Miami, to number 3 this week.
Mm-hmm.
At what point throughout the season did you say, okay, these guys are more than just a one-hit wonder, we need to start paying attention to them?
I think you always pay attention to LSU, but opening night against Miami, even though it turns out Miami's not quite what we thought, certainly grabbed my attention. I think the other thing was the clutch drive against Auburn, because you always have to balance what a team is when you play them versus what it turns out that they are, because things impact teams and it changes them. I don't have any question in my mind that losing the LSU game the way they did changed Auburn. It impacted them. You know, it kind of gave them a little shot to the confidence, and they haven't handled it as well. But in that moment, they've beaten Washington. They're flying high. They have the lead. And LSU to make that drive and then to knock through the field goal and win the game, you know, in that environment, I think that was when you realize these guys are around for the long haul, and it's been really, really impressive.
I don't think anybody's stressed out Tua this year. Do you think that could be the difference in this ball game? You know, if they put a little pressure and stress him out.
From what I know of Tua and from what his coaches say, he may go out there and get sacked 6 times and throw 5 pick sixes, but he ain't getting stressed. So, you know, So the short answer to your question is no. That doesn't guarantee that. It doesn't guarantee he'll have a great game. He may have a terrible game, but I don't think that it will be because he gets stressed out or rattled. That's kind of not him. He doesn't get bothered by much, from what I understand. And you know, I sort of laugh. People say, well, you know, Tua's never been tested. Yeah, down 2 touchdowns in the national championship game in the opponent's home state. Yeah, there's no pressure there at all. But yeah, he'll be fine. So.
Last one. You went to Alabama yourself.
I did.
I mean, just where does this team, I know it's a little early, but in the context of their history, where do you see this?
I think, I sort of think it's almost non-productive to address that until the end. Because if they lose Saturday night, don't go to the SEC championship game, don't go to the playoff, then while they might be talented and maybe the stats will say it's the greatest offense they've ever had or whatever, it's certainly not the greatest team, because part of that mosaic that you use to put that picture together is how'd you finish? Did you win a championship? Did you not? You know, so I think that chapter is left unwritten, and a lot of it will be determined, not all of it certainly, but a lot of it will be determined by whether they can win in Tiger Stadium Saturday night.
Thanks, Reece.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Good to see you.